Hello again, folks. Martin Lena here from Orange Technology. And in this video, I would like to do a review on a certification course that I took. So again, a few videos ago, I talked about certifications. I'll just give you my brief opinion. Again, for those that don't know me, I own an MSP, managed services provider, or IT service provider. It's kind of the same thing. Up here in Whitehorse in the Yukon. So the Yukon is in northern Canada. We are directly on the border of Alaska. I am 2 hours away from the nearest Alaskan city. Again, Orange Technology, that's the company. And we provide IT services to external clients, basically, right? So small businesses, NGOs, governmental organizations, doesn't matter who it is, we provide third-party IT services. A lot of businesses and organizations that operate here, so I operate in a bit of a smaller area. I am in a capital city. The population of the territory itself is about 38,000 people. There's just shy of 30,000 people here in Whitehorse in the capital, so most population's here. Given that it's, 30,000 people, you can imagine we don't have any really large industry. We don't have, corporations that have 2,000 employees, things like that. So there's not a lot of need for on-site IT staff in this area. So a lot of small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, governmental or organizations, NGOs, nonprofits, those kind of groups. They may have, 5 staff, they may have 20 staff, they may have 40 staff, but, at those sizes, they don't really need on-site, staff IT, right? It's just not needed. So they contract it out. So that's what I do. That's what my team does, my staff. We provide IT services for all these external clients. So anyways, I did a video a few videos ago. I don't remember the exact number. Again, for those of you that don't know, I upload videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday only. I do record them generally on the weekends, and I do record a bunch at a time. So I do have a backlog of videos that are scheduled and things like that. The reason is because where I live, we do not have unlimited internet bandwidth usage. So I get about 110 gigabytes of transfer a month at 720p video, about a 30-minute video. It's about 3 gigs file size. You can do the math, how many gigs I'm using to upload. Just is what it is. So I cannot upload constantly nonstop, or I would go over my cap. There's a $1 fee per gig when you go over. I don't want to pay it. So basically, I publish videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Based on that, sometimes I forget how many videos are queued and in what order. Anyways, bottom line, a few videos ago, I talked about certifications, and I talked about the fact that, really your experience matters more than your paper credentials, and that stays true, absolutely. Again, I don't think certifications are useless. I do think you have to pick and choose which certifications you do and which certifications you look at. There are some that are useful, there are some that are not. The A+, it's not really that useful. Ccna, I'm not really sure. We don't really, we don't touch a lot of that Cisco iOS product. Again, in my area, just based on size, there's not a lot of people that require that product. Government, pretty much federal and territorial government would be the only people that do, and they do have Cisco equipment, absolutely. So is the CCNA worth getting? Again, it's your call. You have to make that call based on where you are, based on what your job situation's like, all that kind of stuff. I would say that probably still holds some value. I'm not sure how much, but I would say it probably still does hold some value. So there are some certifications that I would say that, in my opinion, would be worth getting more so than others, right? Again, the A+, I would not get the A+ regardless. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. I think that's very, very low level. I think that's very baseline. I think that if you are looking in the IT industry and looking for a job, whether you have the A+ or not is not going to affect whether you get a job or not, or what your candidacy looks like. The best thing, the only thing the A+ may or may not do is it may create a checkbox for an HR hiring person, right? Does the person have education? Oh, it says they have A+. I don't know what that is. Sure they do, right? Check. That is the only thing it may be useful for. I would argue, so if you're looking to get a certification, looking to pay money to get a certification, I would go for a different one. So you would still get the checkbox, but you would have a different certification. Just my opinion. In the MSP/IT services world, I will say there is some value to certifications and to paper credentials. When I go to meet a prospective client, they don't know who I am. I can tell these people, yes, I have done this before. I do this for current clients. I will absolutely say that references, word of mouth or written references from current clients are the #1 way to solidify any kind of question of competency or expertise. If you have a client who's willing to say, yep, these people have been supporting me for years, I have no problem, I have an issue, I call, they show up, they know what they're doing, that is the best. That is the best. That is better than being able to prove experience. That is better than being able to prove education or paper credentials. That is the best. If somebody's willing to give you a reference and say, yes, these people do this for me, that's the best thing. By far, that is the best thing. That being said, I always have that. When I go in and I meet new clients, I always have that, right? To complement that, I also have all of the paper credentials, right? Our technicians are certified in these fields, right? That is just basically supporting documentation, right? That helps solidify that, yes, I have references, yes, I've been operating for these many years. Here's my list of certifications and credentials that the staff have. It layers things, right? You have the experience. You've been operating for these many years. You're a known brand. You've been doing this particular thing. You have the verbal references, right, from existing clients. You have the certifications, the paper credentials. It just keeps layering on top, right? And at some point you get to a point where even if you're meeting with a prospective client who doesn't know who you are, never heard of you before, if you have all these things layered up, the question of competency it's gone, right? And that's what you really want to get at. Whenever you're hiring somebody, if you're hiring somebody to do the roof on your house, you're hiring a mechanic to work on your car, right? If you don't know the person, if you have no relationship with that person, the #1 thing you care about is trust, right? I trust this person can do what they say they're going to do. I trust that this person is an expert. I trust that this person is going to bill me what they say it's going to cost. They're not going to rip me off, right? It's all about trust. All this stuff comes back to one central thing, and that's trust. So to get a prospective client to trust you before they know who you are or have an experience with you, again, there's layers that you build there, right? You go in and you dress appropriately. You don't show up in a dirty t-shirt and ripped jeans, right? Completely unkempt, unshaven. Not that you can't have facial hair, but I mean cleanly done, right? You don't have bad body odor, things like that, right? There's certain things you do. You show up in appropriate attire, right? You are polite, you're friendly, when you explain things in a way that they understand it. You show your competency. If they say, we're having this problem, you say, well, this is how I would solve that problem, just on a very high level, and you quickly explain it, right? You explain it both in the technical way, but you also explain it in a way that someone like in the C-level would understand if they're not a technical person, right? You provide your references if you have those. You say, these are my references. You are absolutely free to contact them. They will absolutely be happy to talk to you, on these issues that you're particularly having that we've talked about and discussed. I have done this before. I have solved this for other people. Here's what I propose we do to solve it. I have confidence in me and my team that we can do this. Here is the corporate resume, right? Slide that over. As you can see on there, we have a number of industry certifications and designations. We are professionals. We are experts in this field. Again, layering, right? And this is very important for those who are in the kind of MSP IT services field. If you have external clients, this is very important. Internally, if you are part of an IT department, or you're an IT staffer working for a company, nonprofit, whatever it is, it's a little bit different, but I mean, it is the same thing. If you are going and you are presenting to the C-level executives or a senior management meeting, right? And you start saying this, I think this is what we should do. You're more likely actually as an internal employee to be asked, well, how do you know that'll solve the issue? Generally, I have found that when you're dealing with external clients, when you first meet them, people generally don't want to come off rude, right? Just like you don't want to come off rude. People don't want to come off rude, right? So generally, they won't say things like how do you know that's going to work, or like what makes you able to fix that issue, or to solve that problem. They generally won't do that in the external world because that can be considered rude. I have seen it. It has happened. I personally don't care. I understand the question. I understand where it's coming from. So I personally don't care. But again, a lot of people won't do it because they feel it's rude, right? Internally, there's a little more leeway with that, right? You're an employee. I can ask you, can you do this? Like, have you done it before? Or are you just going to throw some darts at the wall and see what happens with this, right? Like, I'm trusting you. Should I trust you on this, right? And that's something that can be asked, right? That does happen. So even internally, if you can say, well, listen, I am a certified disaster recovery engineer. I've done this business impact, assessment or analysis based business impact analysis, business impact assessment. I'm pretty sure it's an assessment. Anyways, that's a different course. I took that a little while ago. I've done the business impact assessment. This is what it's going to look like if we don't implement this. I know it's going to cost this much money, but look, I know how much it's going to cost if we don't do it and something happens, right? It's basically a confidence thing, right? You know what you're talking about. You've been trained in this. This is your field of expertise. Listen to me. I am the expert, right? That's basically what it is. So again, do I think certifications are absolutely useless? No, I don't. Do I think that experience trumps certification? In most cases, yes, it absolutely does. But I do not advocate not getting any kind of certifications. I do think you have to be careful of what you do get. So anyways, on to this course, because this is actually a review of the course. I talked a little more than I thought I would. So I did this again from Mile2, CPTE, Certified Penetration Testing Engineer. That's the course. That is the certification. So just so you know, from Mile2, I've done 3 courses with Mile2. I've done CISO, Certified Information Systems Security Officer. I've done CDRE, Certified Disaster Recovery Engineer, and I have done CPTE, Certified Penetration Testing Engineer. So this is the latest one that I've done, CPTE, and it was a really good course, right? So this is one of the books. You actually get 2 student lab books. So again, Mile2, they do in-classroom classes. So you go in a classroom. It's traditionally taught. You can also do what's called a live remote. This is my preferred way. Again, I live up in the Yukon, northern Canada. I can't, we do have a college, but it's limited courses. Basically, this kind of specialty stuff, especially in the IT field, there's nowhere here to do that. So I would have to travel. At a minimum, I would have to fly to Vancouver. That's a 2-hour flight for me in order to take any kind of courses related to basically related to the IT field. Any kind of certification type things, I will have to fly. There is a small offering at the college here. It's in kind of an in-house IT program. Is what it is. I have my own opinions about what the caliber of that course. But anyways, if you want to do something specific, like a specific certification, you can't do it here. You have to go south. So based on that, Mile2 does live remote. So they basically do a Cisco WebEx, and you just go in and you can see the instructor's screen, and they'll go through, the course content and all that, and they will lecture. And there's labs and things that you do as well and all this other stuff. So I actually think it's a really good way to deliver the course. It's great because I can do it from here. I don't have to leave, you know, for the most part. I can do everything from here. The course materials are mailed to me physically, which is nice. And that, yeah, so that really works out for me. I do like Mile2. I like how they design their courses. I like the lectures that they do. I like their method of exam afterwards. I think it's very fair. It's not too hard, but it's not super easy to skate through. You do have, like, if you take the exam and you didn't really pay attention in the course, you will fail it. Absolutely. You need to be engaged in the course. You need to be paying attention. You need to engage in the class. Generally, the instructors will engage all the students on things. So you absolutely need to. Anyways, the course itself. So this one is basically, they do offer something called Certified Ethical Hacker. You'll probably know that term a little better. They offer that as well, but they also have this Certified Penetration Testing Engineer. And what I like about this one, what I really like about this one, is this one's really geared towards, I mean, Certified Ethical Hacker is great. It goes through all, you know, the methods of hacking and all that kind of stuff. But what I like about this one is this one's specifically geared towards testing your networks against, you know, malicious intruders, basically. And what I like about that is, again, me as an MSP/IT services provider, I have external clients. So I can actually do this for clients. I can start offering this as a service to clients where, hey, I will test your network to see what the vulnerabilities are, what your exposure is, and all that kind of stuff, right? So this really works out for me. That's why I chose this particular course. You know, I'll just go through a couple of the, this is just the contents page. So I'll just go through a couple of the topics here. So we got, course introduction, business and technical logistics of penetration testing, Linux fundamentals, information gathering, detecting live systems, enumeration, vulnerability assessments, malware goes undercover, Windows hacking, hacking Unix/Linux, advanced exploitation techniques, pen testing wireless networks, network sniffing and IDS, so that's intrusion detection systems, injecting the database, attacking web technologies, project documentation, getting started with PowerShell, and using advanced PowerShell techniques. So that's the chapter overviews. Obviously, there's a lot of things in there. I mean, they go through things like packet sniffing with Wireshark to breaking SSL traffic, to Ccna enable, to SQL injection, to let's see here, what else do we got? Mac filtering, PowerShell, obviously, learning some PowerShell commands, Nmap. If we go back here, vulnerability assessment, some of the tools that are out there that you can use, Netcat, Trojan backdoors, cracking LM hashes, NT hashes. Anyways, all this kind of stuff, right? So that's basically, it's quite a lengthy workbook. This is only one of two workbooks. You actually get two. I guess there wasn't enough room to put it all into one, or they thought it would make a really heavy book. But that's basically the course, right? It's quite in depth. For me, it took 5 days. It's a 5-day course. The last day, the half of the day, we took doing the actual exam. Basically, it was a 5-day course. So again, in the previous video that I recorded from this one, I talked about time zones. I'm in the Pacific time zone. The actual Mile2 is actually based in Florida, so they're in the Eastern time zone. We had people basically from every single time zone across the country, all the major ones, from Pacific to Eastern. So we had Mountain and Central was in there as well. So my course started for me at 7 a.m. and it would basically end around 2 p.m., right? So basically that's 9 to 5 for the Eastern time zone. So, 10 to 5 in the Eastern time zone, 10 to 5. We generated we basically took the Central Time Zone as the middle. So we did 9 to 4 Central Time is basically what the course was. So again, it's basically full day. It's full day. You do get, breaks for lunches and stuff like that. But basically, it is a full day course. So it's 5 full days, or 4 full days, and then 1 half day. And then in the afternoon on the Friday, if you choose, you can take the exam. It's a 2-hour exam, so it is quite lengthy. It's not super short by any means. You have to achieve a certain level in order to pass. And then you're certified, right? Then you get the certification. The nice thing actually I like about Mile2 as well is they keep an online repository of who has gotten certified, which I think is really great because, I have personally seen people in the industry, I'm not going to name any names, but I've seen people in the industry who have lied about the certifications they do have. They just say, I have this certification. And basically, in a lot of cases, there's no way to prove it one way or another. Even things like, I know Comp TIA, who does do the A+, Net+, Security Plus certifications. Again, I don't suggest anybody should ever do those, but with those, there is an authorization number at the bottom, like a certificate authorization number. And there is a way to verify it, but it's quite complex. It's not that simple to just go and verify whether this is a legitimate certificate or not. What I like about Mile2 is there's just an online repository. You can just go online, scroll down, click Find Students. You can type in my last name, by all means, Lehner. I believe I'm the only one. At least it was last time I looked. And you will see, my 3 certifications and when I got certified in those, when I was able to get those. So I personally think that's great. I like that there's an easy verification tool. It doesn't require signing up an account or, any of these more specific things, right? It's nice to just be able to go in, plug in a name, and yep, that guy's certified. Here's the certificate number. It matches what that person's got, what they've shown me in the resume or whatever. Perfect, no problem, right? So I really like, I really like Mile2. I have to say, absolutely good things about the instructors. I've had 2 instructors with Mile2 so far. I do forget the first lady's name. She did the CISO and the CDRE classes. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. This last one that I did, the instructor's name was Saeed. Really, really knowledgeable guy. That's what I really like about Mile2 instructors as well. They are very competent in what they're teaching. I have found in some other certifications, you get instructors that kind of know what they're talking about, but not really. I've asked some of these Mile2 folks, very specific questions that pertain to me, again, in the ISP IT services provider world, where I am and what my clients are using and how things are deployed in my area. I've asked very specific things, and I generally get answers that are very, again, very specific. They're not generalized answers. They're very specific to me, which is really great. They're also not afraid to say if they don't know, they don't know. They will say, I don't know, but I will get you an answer. I have had that where I've asked a question and the answer was not known, but the next day I actually got the answer because it was researched after the class was done. The instructor researched it. That's really great. They really go the extra mile. I do like Mile2. They are a great group. My personal opinion. Again, I've taken three certifications with them. I've taken 3 exams, and I've gone through 3 classes. You can do things like self-study. For me, that doesn't really work. I have to do the actual course. I need to work through it with somebody. That's just how I learn. That's how it works for me. But again, if it works for you, you can do self-study. It's cheaper, of course, and then you can just do the exam, and you can get certified. Again, I really like this course. My review on this course, I'll talk. I don't want to go through too much about it because I could probably do a review for like 2 hours, but you guys don't want to listen to that. And again, my videos are generally 30 minutes. I'm at the 24-minute mark right now. But basically, through this course, we looked at different ways to do penetration testing, various tools. So, everything from the simple, netstat commands to telnet commands, all the way up to tools, Qualsys, Ness Saint, all these vulnerability testers. Quite frankly, you know, again, I'm always learning, right? I'd heard about some of this vulnerability testing from the internet, but I didn't know too much about it. To be honest, I hadn't really dug into it a lot. It's not a service that we generally have provided to our clients. Things have been getting worse locally in the industry for us, just in terms of malicious traffic coming off the internet attacking local networks. We're seeing an increase in that, in malicious threats, I guess that's what I'll call malicious threats that are coming off of the internet at large. So this is something that actually clients are starting to think more about and starting to realize more, and it's something that I would like to start offering, right? So again, historically, we haven't really offered this that much. We certainly do network security and all that kind of stuff. I am certified in that and in other ways as well. But trying to do a penetration test, trying to break into a system, or trying to find out specifically what the vulnerabilities are that we have to think about, I haven't really done too much of that. So I knew there were some tools out there, but I hadn't used any of them. In this class, we actually used some, and I used some of the, I got a demo account with Qualsys, right? So Qualsys does basically if you think about it, it's a hosted vulnerability test, right? So you plug in your IP address or your website, and their system will actually go and try to attack, you know, whatever that is, whether it's your network, locally, your infrastructure, or whether it's a website or whatever. It will try and do that. And what's really nice about that is literally you plug in the IP address, you wait a little bit, and then it comes back with a report. Now, there are some steps you have to take. It's not completely automated. You have to tell it what you want it to do and what parameters. You have to plug a bunch of parameters and stuff like that. But it's not that really big of a deal. You don't actually have to go and sit there and try to break into it with like some Linux attack tools and boot up your Kali Linux and stuff like that. You don't have to do that, right? So you set all the parameters, and then basically you hit run, and it runs, and it goes and tries to do it. And then what's great, it spits out a report, right? So it spits out a report that basically shows, you know, these are the things we could do, these are the things we tested, these are the vulnerabilities, here's the severity levels of these vulnerabilities. And again, you know, we went in this course, we didn't actually go through one of those reports, but we talked about, you know, using these hosted things and what you can get out of it. And this was really great because I learned something, and then I went and tried it, and then I looked at and I understood what some of these vulnerabilities were. Again, we talked, some of the vulnerabilities or some of the concerns that were found on some of the scans that I did actually matched some of the things we talked about in the actual course, right? Which is really great. Again, later on in the course, we actually talked about some vulnerabilities, SQL injection and things like that. And I won't go into a lot of details on what I found. Nothing really surprised me, which is really great. There was nothing where I said, whoa, that should not exist. Anything that was found, I don't want to say I knew that was a vulnerability for a long time, but it was something like it's a service that I know is running, and I expect it to be accessible, you know, to either the internet or to local users or whatever. And I understand why the scan said it was a vulnerability. Now, what can I do to remediate that? That's what I'm going to start looking at. Can I make it more secure than what it is, right? And again, these are things that I learned out of this course. I think it is a great course. You know, I certainly plan to be doing more. I would actually like to do some computer forensics. I like to learn a little bit about computer forensics. I think this whole security field in the technology world is growing. Again, we're putting more and more things online. We're putting more and more things on hard drives, on data in the cloud, all this stuff. And there's going to be more crime, and there's going to be more requirement for security professionals. I don't think necessarily like when people think of cybersecurity, what they think those jobs are. I think cybersecurity is a growing industry, but I do think the jobs that are available in it are a little bit different than what people think they are. You know, a lot of the jobs in cybersecurity is this kind of penetration testing, is this kind of, it's not really glamorous work, I guess I'll say. It's not, you know, it's not, I'm gonna, let's watch those hackers from wherever, China, Russia, let's make sure they don't do anything. It's not really like that, right? It's more looking for vulnerabilities, looking for bugs, doing that kind of stuff, monitoring, a lot of monitoring, you know, basically knowing right away when something's been breached. You know, computer forensics. This is one of these things where, you know, the authorities show up and they say, hey, you know, your network was accessing child pornography. That's a big issue, right? That's a huge issue. Who was it? Again, if you have a network like most networks are built, you know, it's all IP version 4, you're behind that. You have one public IP address, it could be one of 30 people, it could be one of 40 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. How do you track down who actually looked this stuff up, right? Now, you know, computer forensics. This is where, you know, you start going to workstations, you start tracking traffic. You go to a computer and you go, okay, you know, let's dump what's in the RAM, what's taken place since the computer was rebooted, right? These kind of things. I think that field is absolutely growing. Again, not in the same way that people think it is, but I do think it is a growing field. So I will be taking more certifications from Mile2. Again, you know, basic review of this particular certification and this course. I thought it was great. I thought the instructor was great. The exam was bang on to what was covered in the course. I definitely got something out of it. I do recommend this certification to anybody looking to get this kind of certification or this kind of training. Again, look at Mile2. I think they're great. And yeah, that is my review of the course and my take on certifications in general. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, I hope you take the time to take a look at Mile2. Again, they are I would say one of the leaders in certification and IT training, particularly from the security aspect. Again, understand why you're getting these certificates. If you don't have any experience in the field and you just get one of these certificates and think that's going to get you a job, I don't think it's going to get you a job. You have to understand why you're getting these certificates and, you know, and this training and how that's applied to your situation, to your job, to your business, if you're an MSP or whatever. So please do think about that first. But if you need these things, if you need this training, if you want the certification, Mile2, absolutely, I do recommend them. So yeah, I will see you guys at the next video.